Burnout isn't always caused by doing too much. It's caused by living out of alignment with your nervous system and your values. We don't always just need more rest. We often need more resonance. So when I say being out of alignment, what I mean is things like this: saying yes to something that you're not fully aligned with. For example, agreeing to join a committee or attend an event or take on a small project, not because you want to, but because you feel like you should. The misalignment isn't huge, it's not loud, but every time it comes up, it will drain you just a little. Another example is holding back your real opinions. Maybe you're smiling and nodding and going through a conversation where you're actually disagreeing and you're not saying anything just to avoid the tension. This may seem minor, but the cost is real. You've left a part of yourself out of the interaction. And that means you're not fully there. You're not fully aligned. This can show up, of course, in larger places, like if you're working in a role that conflicts with your core values, or if you're staying in a relationship that drains you emotionally, or if you're living a lifestyle that ignores your nervous system as an HSP. Or if you're trying to be someone that you're not, like whether you're trying to be, this is driven by perfectionism or just overfunctioning, or if you're suppressing your creativity or a spiritual longing. All of these things can be ways that you can be a little bit out of alignment or a lot out of alignment, and you will feel the effects of that. The thing is, as HSPs, we register incongruence very deeply. We always are paying attention to how we feel, and even though something may work on paper, you may feel that it's off. And this could be in a job, in a relationship, with a schedule, or with an environment you're in. But the idea is the feeling inside doesn't match what you're actually doing outside, or it's not 100% match. Of course, you can get caught into the perfectionist loop with this, which is not helpful either. But the idea is you'll notice when something is a little bit out of alignment. And because we're so tuned in to nuance and subtlety, we notice this in a very real way. So even if something's just a little bit off, we will feel it, and it can drain our energy. The other thing is that HSPs, in a way, kind of require a kind of internal coherence to function well. I know when I'm trying to just do something that I haven't really thought through and doesn't fully align yet with something that makes sense to me, like some deeper value or some direction that just feels really connected to me, I'm very hesitant. Like my mind isn't really there, my heart isn't really there. And so we need, as HSPs, and I think all people do, but we're especially attuned to it, we need a kind of connection between inner and outer, between what we are doing and what we're feeling, what we're wanting to create in our lives. And so if there's a disconnect, then you'll get some friction and you'll experience stress. It can lead to burnout. The other thing is that chronic microstress can build up. And so it can just be kind of a drip, drip, drip of daily misalignment that can slowly build into overwhelm or to burnout over time. Maybe it's just a slightly too busy calendar, or a mildly off rhythm, or a project that doesn't fully align with your purpose. And it may not be a huge deal, but if there's a lot of these going on, it can quietly drain your energy. Also, if we override our intuition, then this drains our energy as well. And it's the same way, kind of the same idea. It's like if something isn't matching on the inside, if we try to please other people or try to fit in or try to do what makes sense in a situation, instead of looking at what we're feeling and what feels right to us, then we can end up creating a kind of gap between our insides and our outsides, and this causes a drain of energy. One other thing that is important for HSPs is that we're wired for meaning and we're wired for authenticity. And so we thrive when we're in situations that there is depth and there's purpose. And when we are not in a situation that is so aligned, we can feel disconnected from ourselves. So the cost of not being aligned for highly sensitive people, even in small ways, is quite large. We can end up experiencing chronic fatigue. We can feel an emotional disconnection, and eventually resentment can creep in as we kind of work towards something that isn't really what we're wanting to work towards. And this can be anywhere, whether it's at work, relationships, or anywhere, even in your hobbies. So the problem is, when you start experiencing burnout, you may first think, okay, I'm going to try to do some things to manage that burnout that aren't actually addressing the root cause of it. So you might be trying to get more rest, which is always a good thing as an HSP, but sometimes rest isn't enough. Or you may be trying to just take care of like the surface value of your approach to stress management. And there are skills you can learn that are all helpful, but if you're not addressing this alignment issue, then there's kind of hard for those surface level solutions to actually make a difference. So the assumption is that you're tired from doing too much, and that's can be the case, certainly easily the case, but it's very worth looking to see if you're actually just living out of integrity and that's what's causing the exhaustion rather than just doing too many things. And these two things can compound together because, ironically, when you're not living in integrity in some way, you may overcompensate by trying to do too much. And so you get both sides coming at you at once. You're not getting the energy from inside, and you're using all that energy in a way that can be exhausting just by overperforming. The other thing is that when you're focused on more superficial approaches to stress management, you don't end up rebuilding the inner trust that is necessary to feel clear and aligned and good about your life again. You can end up overriding your body's signals. You can end up staying in environments that feel unsafe. And you can keep on saying yes to avoid guilt and disappointing others, but you're not actually dealing with the root cause of your overwhelm and your burnout. As they say, no amount of bubble baths can really restore your energy because your system is not trusting you to protect it. We have a job. We get these feelings on the inside, and they're there for a reason. They're there to direct us. And this is like deep inner feelings where it's not just, a casual kind of, I'm getting sucked into something, that feeling of I want to just complete something that is being put in my environment. These are like inner directions that if you pay attention to are there to guide you. And we have a responsibility to ourselves and to others to listen to those and to follow those as best we can. The other thing about superficial solutions is that they can become another form of overfunctioning. This comes up a lot where self-care can just become another thing on the to-do list where we end up being in these routines for self-care that also become more of a performance. And in that way, it's actually not fully aligned and not really that effective in terms of actually helping us. So how do we uncover these quiet mismatches that are costing our energy? How do we get back to the feeling of alignment and connection on the inside again. The good news is, once you see where you're out of sync, then you can stop blaming yourself and stop trying things that aren't as effective and start making shifts that actually restore you. For most HSPs, burnout doesn't come from a single dramatic moment. It's more like death by 1,000 tiny misalignments. And this can come from things like saying yes to something you weren't fully aligned with just to avoid disappointing someone, holding back your real opinions to keep the peace, staying in a job that conflicts with your core values because it pays the bills, silently enduring a relationship that drains you emotionally, living on a schedule that constantly overstimulates your nervous system, trying to be more together or more chill or more low maintenance than you really are, or silencing your creative or spiritual longing because it feels inconvenient or indulgent or too much. Each of these moments chips away at your energy, not all at once, but over time. They add up. And the worst part is you don't even realize it's happening. You just think, why am I so tired all the time? Why do I feel disconnected even when I'm doing everything right? What's wrong with me? Here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. You're just out of alignment and living in small ways that contradict your deeper self make you feel this. And this is a good thing. The fact that you're feeling this, the fact that your energy is being drained is a signal letting you know, okay, you need to take a look and see if you can find out where that misalignment is. If you can find the misalignment, even just one of them, the fog can start to lift. And you can start making subtle shifts that feel like relief. That's when the burnout finally begins to dissolve, not because you rested harder, but because you became, or you started looking at how you could come home to yourself. Burnout doesn't just happen at work. It creeps in through 5 hidden doorways. One is work and your contribution to the world. And so are you doing what nourishes you or just what pays the bills? Another is relationships. Can you be fully sensitive and still feel safe, or are you constantly adapting? The other is daily rhythms. Does your schedule regulate or overwhelm your nervous system? Another area is self-talk. Are you treating yourself with the same softness you offer others? And the other is ambitions. Are you chasing goals that feel like yours or ones that make you feel enough? Are you trying to prove something? When one of these zones is out of sync, your energy leaks quietly, steadily, and persistently. But the good news is you don't have to fix them all at once. Realigning just one can create a ripple effect of relief and reconnection. So if you're doing all the right things, resting, reflecting, setting boundaries, and still feeling low-grade burnout, and it's making you wonder if there's something wrong with you, but what you really want is energy and clarity and a life that fits you. That is exactly why I created the HSP Alignment Inventory. It's a deep clarity assessment tool to help you pinpoint which of the 5 doorways your burnout is actually coming from and how to realign your life without pushing, performing, or pretending. Just head over to the show notes and click the first link you see, or visit trueinnerfreedom.com/alignment-inventory. That's trueinnerfreedom.com/alignment-inventory. Enter your info and I'll send you the HSP alignment inventory.